Hi guys, Ryu here and welcome to the bonus part of our course. In this one I'm gonna show you how to apply decals that we prepared for you, 20 free decals, premium decals for Decal machine that you can use in your own projects in the future. So if you don't have a Decal machine, there will be a great time to buy one, and if you do have it, then you're gonna have an additional pack for it. So I'm going to show you now. You remember during the course when we were adding the screws, right? So we were adding these details, how long it took to actually do that. I'll quickly show you how fast would it go if you were adding them with Decal machine. But before we do that, I want to show you the difference between actually decaled model and non-decaled model. So when I turn the decals on and off, you can see that we have a few decals around. They're not really noticeable at first glance, but when you look closer, they actually make a huge difference. For example, I put some decals on. Let me just remove this one because we will not need it. I put some decals on the handle, right? So on this part, let's just zoom into the handle. There we go. If you press dot on the numpad, you click on a part and press dot on the numpad, you're gonna zoom to it. So these are decals, okay? You can't really tell these are decals. They look like geo, right? See what I mean? Even in close up, it's just indistinguishable. So if you create high quality decals, they really are amazing. This is a decal too, but looks like a geo, right? And you know, this is a decal, this is a decal, okay? These are decals as well. Let me zoom in and show you, right? You just can't tell, you know. And you know, these are all decals, okay? These ones as well on top here, all decals, okay? This text as well, this engravement, it's all decal, okay? These are decals, right? Now and then you have, these are decals too. All that is decals, okay? So now if I wanted to drop a screw, right? All I need to do is with Decal machine installed, I press D, and it's gonna bring my menu. The menu is a little bit too big for the screen because I'm normally using 21:9 screen. So, and I have a lot of decals. So you just grab, you know, a screw like that. You make it smaller with S, okay? So let's make it similar size, right? And you simply Control G and drop it somewhere here. Make it a little bit larger, and you press D, Alt, Project, and you simply change color to match it to whatever you want, and you know, you're done. And now you can see that you can literally, this one is not the best color for it, so let's keep trying different colors. Maybe this one, perfect. Now you tell me, you know, that you see a big difference between those two, right? So the point is that the speed and quality, you know, of the if the decals of a good quality, the speed is all that matters, and you just literally can't tell the difference. So it's very close, right? So now if you want to do it quickly now, instead of drilling all these holes and creating screws and adding all the geo, because screws do add geo and these cuts also add geo. So if you're gonna turn off all the screws, right, which are here, you know, our geo jumps from it's like 100,000, right? 140,000, you see, at the bottom. It's 140,000 for the screws, and probably about, you know, 30, maybe 40,000 for this cut. So maybe 180,000, you know, less geometry, right? So if you calculate all these small details, if we were to cut them in, it would inflate it, because especially these holes, you know, this would be insane, okay, in terms of geometry. Let's add the screw one more time, right? So let's press D and just, you know, click on it, or click on the plus, and we're just gonna, you know, add it in here, right? And then, for example, if you want to add it to this geo, you simply Control G and add it, and Shift, as if you were just copying geometry, right? Yeah, you just copy it with Shift D and move it. And then the cool thing is, like, if you double click, you can apply them at the same time, okay? And then you can change colors at the same time. See what I mean? See how easy that is, right? Now look at this. Let me just zoom in. Let me get rid of this wall because it's confusing me. So let's zoom in here, and Let me show you in perspective mode. Look at this. You know, these are screws, right? Where our these are decals, right? You know, it's just you literally can't tell. If I didn't tell you this is a decal, you wouldn't know, right? So that's the point, guys. In addition to all of this, right, you can increase the size of it. I mean, the parallax effect, which is depth. So you can press D, you can press adjust and E, and you can actually adjust the parallax effect. So you can make it deeper if you want, right? See what I mean? So that's it. If you want to remove them, you simply double click on them, you know, and you remove them, right? So let's do this. Let's actually I'm gonna make a new save, okay, because I don't want to get rid of the old one. I'm gonna make a manual save 55, and I'm gonna call it 2 decals, okay? So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna actually delete all the decals, right? So let's see here. Let's grab all of them and just delete them, right? So delete them, boom. Now we don't have any decals in the scene, right? Let's delete them too. And you don't need it either. Decal machine is gonna add them automatically. Let's delete this too. So now what we need to think about is just how and when to add our details, okay? So for example, if I wanted to add these holes back to this piece, I'll bring it to local, press D and grab my decals and grab this the long one with all the holes, and you know, scale it and drop it somewhere here with Control G and press D and Alt project like this, okay? It might bake through, so you might be careful. If you go really deep, it might bake through, okay? Let me do this again. So D, Alt project, and don't go so deep. Boom. See, now it's fine. So you can see that it got projected onto the geometry. And of course, the unfortunate part is that this is a bit bright, this metal. So these holes are not gonna be super bright, because remember, this is a flat surface. However, you could actually increase the AO, so ambient occlusion, when you're baking them. If you're gonna bake your own decals, you can actually change the ambient occlusion and contrast here, so you could make them darker in these areas. But anyway, so let's keep going. So we got these here. Then we're gonna add some triangles in here and the front, just small ones, so we can scale them up. Scale them up in here. Rotate them with adjust. If you hold Control, if you hold Shift and then Control and Shift, you can rotate them. So when you want to rotate them, you just press adjust, and then when you scroll, is, you know, I think it's in 25 degrees each, right? Then when you hold Shift, it switches to, I think, how many? 15 degrees, and then when you hold Control and Shift, it switches to 1 degree, okay? So that's how you can control it very easily if you want to precision adjustments, right? You can array them as a normal geo, because these are basically, you know, these are planes, right? So you can, you know, array them with hard ups, right? They will behave like any other geo, because these are planes. So simply carrying some data. And you can also after you adjust, after you project them, you can't move them. However, you can move them in edit mode, okay? So select all GX and you can move them still on a flat surface, you see. Then let's see, we could add some stuff in here. So we could just drop, for example, this one, right? Now, if you want to drop underneath and it doesn't work the way you want, you might want to actually isolate the elements and go to local. But sometimes it actually works pretty well, even when you're trying to drop geometry. Even when you try to drop a decal under geometry, like here, right? So let's grab this one and let's make it larger and see if it's gonna work the way we want, right? So Shift D and project, and you see it got projected properly underneath. So now we can actually shift it to something different like this, right? Pretty cool. Let's see here. We could drop one of these Let me see. We could drop one of these and array them. So drop it in here, make it smaller, not too small. Drop it somewhere here and array it backwards, so this way, and project them. Now, when you wanna mirror decals, right? You simply select them, and I do it with hard ups. You can do it with decal machine, but I prefer hard ups, and you just simply drop them to the other side. Now, if you're mirroring texts, okay, it's a little bit different. So, for example, if I wanted to drop this engraved text in here, right? Josh and Ryu armaments, and I'm gonna put it in here and, you know, project it, right? Then when I'm gonna copy to the other side, you will see what happened, right? Text gonna get reversed. So what you need to do is go to your mirror settings. I do it through hard ups, so I'm gonna show you how I do it here. And you simply flip U, and it's gonna get flipped, you see, properly, right? So that's how you deal with texts. So it's really easy, guys, to fix this. Then we could drop something in here as well. I'm not gonna, probably do the whole thing, but let's see. We could drop this one in here, actually. This could look cool. Let me see. Just drop it in here and project it. By the way, in orthographic mode, you're gonna see terrible distortions. You need to be in perspective to properly see the decals working, right? So, how it looks. Yeah, it looks alright, actually. So, let's see. Go to the top view, and we can just drop something in here. So, let's grab this one and make it a little bit smaller. Drop it on top. Maybe it's a bit too big. We could project it, and then we could drop these two. So select this one. You need to make sure that you're selecting an object on which you want to drop decals, because decals get parented. You see these parenting lines? So sometimes weird thing happen and they get parented to the wrong object, and you may have issues. So if that happens, always go to local mode and do it there, or you can unparent it manually, but I'm gonna be able to match it with the top, make it black. There we go, and these ones are fine. So now let's see, here we could drop something small as well, maybe some kind of like tiny screws like this or something. Maybe one here. This one makes no sense. Let's grab the other one. Where is it? Can grab this one and rotate it and drop it somewhere here. You see now it's sunk in. You could try to project it outwards and it should work, but it doesn't. Then just bring it to local mode and it should be fine. If the decal surface doesn't match the surface, because normally what happens, right, when you drop a decal, let me show you. Let me show you here, okay. When I drop a decal here, that's actually a subset decal, which means consists of more than 2 elements. The outer element that actually is a decal's holding plane will inherit the color of the surface that you drop it on. So see this edge here, this bevel, that's actually inheriting the color from this material. The same with this one in the middle, because it's actually linked to the other side. But if I'm going to grab a match and start playing with colors, I can actually change the color of this part in the middle. However, if I press D and shift, I can actually shift the color outside if I wanted to, you see. You gotta be careful with this one, because anti-aliasing gonna be visible on the edges. Let me just change the view to something a little bit larger, so 0.01. There you go. See that anti-aliasing on the edges? That's unavoidable, unfortunately. If you got this kind of a pooling on decals, right, what you need to do is press D, right, so select the decal, press D, adjust E, and literally lift it up, and then hold shift and lift it and drop it down until you're satisfied with the depth. And if you want to, if you, for example, change color of the main object, you will need to readjust the color of this border of the decal, right? You don't have to do it manually. All you need to do is press D and reapply. It's going to reapply automatically the correct color, okay, to the outside. So if you had a darker color on this side and brighter color on the other side, on the outside, so something like this, if you click adjust and reapply, the middle part will not get changed, only the part that actually should inherit the main color of this item, that's the object that it's actually landing on. So that's another thing. Sometimes in cycles, decals may appear floating above the surface, so you will need to actually readjust them manually. So you do it with adjust, so D, adjust, and if you move it, you see you can adjust it, the height of it. So if you press D, adjust and hold shift, you can do it very you know, in smaller amounts, smaller increments. So that's important to know as well, right? And this is how you decal this stuff. You know, you need to make sure that decals make sense. You know, that they are details that actually make sense on your object, and you know, it's not overloaded with garbage, because it's not a freaking Christmas tree. You know, you're not supposed to just, you know, toss on it without any thought. But if decals are well placed, and actually they can really change your you know, art into something very special. Sometimes you can make them tiny, you know, they don't have to be huge. The accents are important, right? It's not the size, guys, not the size, guys. Unlike in real life. Alright, so let's see. See now, let me see. Yeah, this is fine. So, I could change the middle to something darker because it looks kind of silly. There we go. You see, it just adds a little bit of, you know, interest over there. Barely visible, but it's there, yeah. Those little notches, you know, like this, look, they don't have to be massive, they can be just tiny, but these tiny things, they're really gonna change stuff around, you know. Like, for example, watch this. I'm gonna make it really tiny, and I'm gonna drop it in here, right? And shift the X, and I'm gonna drop it in here, okay? I'm gonna select them both, so double click on one, and Alt project, right? And then I'm gonna change them to something black, and we're gonna have like a black accent here. Watch this. See what I mean? It's a tiny accent, but these tiny accents, they actually make it look amazing because they bring it all together. That makes some sense, right? Same here, like, you know, these screws theoretically would be invisible in here, right? So let's see. Let's go to the bottom view, and let's grab. Come on. Let's be consistent with the screws, shall we? So let's make it smaller and drop it in here, and do something like this. Make it a little bit smaller. Drop one here and one here. Select them both. Copy to the other side. G, project. Okay. What happened? You see, now we got distortions, which is fascinating, because I think the reason for it is that this one doesn't have applied scale. So let's select this one. Apply scale, double click on these. Did it get selected? No, they are mirrored. So select all of them, and D, project, boom, now it's working. And then we're gonna match them, make them darker, like this, and we're done. See how fast that was? And look, you got 4 screws. See what I mean? So, you know, that's why working with decals is so amazing. And you can bring this to a game engine, right? Because you can bake them into Atlas maps, okay? We're probably gonna be at some point creating a course on creating game assets, so we're definitely gonna be making Atlas maps, especially that there's a new decal machine coming up. It's 2.0. You're gonna have automated Atlas maps and trim sheets, okay? So you just couldn't get a better software for creating assets for game engines, okay? It's gonna be surprisingly fast, because I know how much time it takes to create Atlas maps manually, because I was doing it for game assets, and trust me guys, it's a pain in the ass, okay? That's what it is. There's no better way of describing it. It's a pain in the ass, and it's a really bad one too, okay? So let's actually leave it like this. Actually, this is a bit too big. Smaller is fine. This could be like a release log for See, like when you get something like this, okay, it means that projection was too shallow, okay. What you need to do, right, let's go back a little bit. Also, let's save this because I don't know, I have this feeling of impending doom coming. So press D, Alt, project, and move it a little bit further. Boom. See what I mean? Sorted. It's a little bit crooked in my opinion. So we're going to go back and fix this. I mean, orthographic view. That's why it looks like shit. But you need to be in. See now this hold Control and Shift. Now you got this one degree increments of adjustments, which is really cool. So let's project it. Boom. Now we're cooking with fire. So let's actually match it with a darker material, something like that, and we're looking peachy. So we could actually drop something in here as well because it's a little bit boring. So let's grab oh, let's grab this one maybe. No, that makes no sense. Let's grab one of these. Where is it? This one. Let's make it small and bring it in here. We could put it on the edge. So also I wonder, what is the no, it's fine, it's a shadow. This line was kind of throwing me. See this edge, kind of like a glowing? I think it's a reflection from this one. It's kind of throwing me off. Anyway, let's rotate it. So just, and we could actually bring it a little bit here. I'll show you a cool trick. Bring it a bit here and Shift D, then move it up here so it sticks out. Okay, now select them both and D and project them deeply. Okay, boom, and you're gonna get effect like this. You see, kind of like cuts into it, which is pretty cool. So in practice, it's gonna get wrapped around this edge. Okay. So let's change the color here to something darker. There we go. See how it brings it all together? Just looks really cool. So when I turn them on and off, right, you'll see that. Look, see, it's just filling these kind of like visual gaps out without cluttering the image too much. Just starts making more and more sense, right? So that's how you literally, that's how I would decal my object. It takes time, but it takes far less time than if you were doing it with Geo. In addition, you don't have to deal with a lot of geometry. That at my case it's about 4 million, which is still okay for me, but it really depends on the machine, and and Blender has limitations too. I mean, Blender's gonna start choking around 30 million, right? It doesn't matter what your machine is, just Blender has limitations, unfortunately. So you can't go see that bakes through. You gotta be careful with these, okay? You gotta be careful with these. And same here, just copy it across and simply match it, and either go darker or brighter, whatever you want. And there you go. It's a complex detail, just dropped in here. I mean, if you look at the very steep angle, of course it's gonna be flat, but this is not how you look at decals. Okay, you're not gonna be taking shots like this, because no one does that. After all, it's a flat surface, so you have limitations. But still, even if you're really close, right? It's easy to get fooled. Look, right? I mean, this is a decal. You couldn't tell that easily, right? You know what I mean? So it really depends on the size of it, or on the area, etc. So here too, we could create some cool details. It's all about those small, tiny things, right? You could drop the same ones, because it's hard to actually notice that they're identical. Okay, for example, something like this, right? You could drop it in here, or even better, we could drop the same name. So because it's a magazine, so it's gonna come off, right? So we could drop the same name in here, like a little accent, project, boom, done, right? See what I mean? And it just looks awesome. That's what it is. It looks awesome. And here we could drop some larger elements. So for example, we could drop this one. We could, for example, drop this, like this. So what we could do is grab these two, go to local. It's gonna be easier to do it, okay? We could make it larger like this, kind of wrap it around, and then project it. It's gonna wrap around here, you see? You gotta be careful with these stoves because sometimes it might stretch too long, but this one is actually acceptable, okay? So something like this. Might be a bit too big, you know? Might be a bit too big, so I'm not too keen on this one. Maybe we're gonna do something more subtle. For example, let me see. We could drop this one. This one's pretty cool. See how this one's gonna look, okay? So adjust it, right? Make it larger. Drop it in here and shift D and 1 degree, turn it. See, this 1 degree turn is very useful, yeah? So now project, and now let's match it. And you could do something like this, like a delicate, you know, see what I mean? It doesn't really fit though, unless we're gonna go same color maybe. Yeah, this could work, this could actually work. Pulls a bit of attention, but it could work. So anyway, guys, that's how you work your decals on your gun. And let's drop this one in here. See, now it's parented to the other object, so it's better if you're gonna do click on this one and then reapply to this one, so you're actually gonna get parented to the correct object, okay? Make it smaller, Control G will not work. Let's grab it to local and do it again. So apply this, there we go. Sometimes it gets confused and doesn't know to which object you should actually apply it, so you might want to rethink it and redo it. So we could actually make it bigger this time. Why not? Let's let's apply it like that. Project it, larger one. Boom. Now it makes no sense. It's too big. So let's make it smaller. It's too big. Let's Control Z this, make it smaller. Maybe a little bit lower actually, somewhere here. And then project it. Boom. There we go. Now you're talking. Now you're talking. So there you go. There you go. And we're looking pretty good. We're looking pretty good. Alright guys, I think that should, that should do. That should give you an idea on how to, decal your own gun, or anything really, because it doesn't matter what you're working on. The process is literally the same. All you need to make sure is that you need to make sure that the decals actually make sense, right? They go with the project, they go with the idea, and they sell the whole object better. I mean the whole model, right? So now look at this. When I turn them on and off, right, you can see that it simply, it just adds a lot of interest to it, right, in different places. So there you go. Anyway guys, that would be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to learn a bit more about how to create decals, you can always jump to my YouTube. I have some videos on this one. But as far as decal machine usage is concerned, I think you should be fine. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, decal creation is not easy. It takes a lot of time and effort. It took about, I think, 2 days to create this pack. And because you always run into some issues and shading problems and normal baking problems. So even though it's kind of automated, you really do need to know how to do this, and there's a lot of tricks that you can learn just through creating them. So it's not super straightforward, but applying decals is just super easy. Now you can of course use them on different computers. So if you can either pack it, so you could go here and external data and pack all into blend, or if you have the same decal packs installed on another computer and you load the file with decals in it, all you will see first is going to be blank planes. So to be able to actually see them, you need to go to Machine and click on this one, Fix Texture Paths, okay? And this should actually bring all the decal data back into Blender, as long as you have it in a correct directory. Installation of this pack is really easy. All you need to do is unzip the pack, okay? And when you unzip it, okay, you're gonna have a folder that's gonna be called, where is it? This one, 20+1 rifle course, okay? And it looks like this. Make sure that this file is in it. It's called .is.280. Without this file, this folder will not work. And you just need to do is, all you need to do is drag this folder into your Decal Machine Decal folder. By default, this folder, okay, is located in here, okay? So under this PC local user, your name, update, roaming, foundation, Blender, and whichever Blender you have installed, let's say 83, you go to scripts, okay, add-ons, right, Decal Machine, and then assets, and it's gonna be under decals, okay? However, you can create a custom path to this folder by going to preferences, okay, going to Decal Machine, right, and changing this path to whatever you want. And the advantage of this one is that you simply can run decals from the same folder to very many different versions of Blender, so you don't have to duplicate your decal folder many times over. Like, for example, my decal folder has, like, you know, several gigabytes, so it's just a waste of space on the disk. But anyway, that should help you to get started. Hope you enjoyed the vid, guys. I do hope more of you gonna get into add-on workflow, because it's just fantastic. Definitely at some point we're gonna be creating a full-on course that will be using, we're gonna be using add-ons. So Hardups Box Cutter is gonna be a no-brainer. Decal Machine, Mesh Machine, and Machine Tools, probably other add-ons like Mira and Keytops. So there's gonna be a full-on add-on course, no questions asked, because that's how Josh and I work every day. And you know, we would really like to see you guys getting more into the add-on workflow, because it's really saving so much time, and time is money. It's very simple, okay? I can create 5 times more with add-ons than without them. And of course, it depends what kind of business you are in. I mean, if you're in organic, you know, organic modeling, sculpting, you're still okay with add-ons. You just have to use different add-ons, right? We're into hard surface concepting, which for what we do, and also I produce game assets, and they perfectly fine with Hardups and Box Cutter. You know, I have no problems with these workflows. You just have to know how to deal with how to prepare the models for export to Unreal, because I work in Unreal Engine. So, but anyway, and texturing, right? But it's not really that complicated. I mean, you know, but it saves you a lot of time. Anyway, that's it for me, guys. Hope you enjoyed the vid. Hope you know a bit more about decals and how to use them. I wouldn't try to do this in vanilla, because it's just a pain. It's really so simple and easy and fast with Decal Machine that this $40 you're gonna spend on it is a joke comparing to how much time you're going to save, because it's gonna be not days, not weeks, but probably months in terms of, you know, a longer period of time, right? So it's really worth it. Anyway, thanks again, and you take care.